This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning everybody, and welcome from dark Maine here at Djuma Private Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands in South Africa. I was driving along checking Gary Dam looking for Mulwati from last night, any signs and hopes of him, and decided to come back up to quarantine before I headed to Treehouse Dam, and lo and behold, his tracks were in the road. There were still drool marks wet on the road, and I thought these are a bit too fresh. As I came up, here he lies. My name is Tess. I'm going to be your guide on safari here this morning. Behind the camera is BK, and I'm so excited to tell you that we have found Dark Maine. We've been wondering where he was. In fact, BK and I were just chatting about him and saying, you know, we saw him on dam cam yesterday morning at about 4:30. He walked past the dam cam, and yet we couldn't find tracks of him going anywhere. We haven't seen him anywhere. And I was just saying to BK, I think he's been lying in the drainage line, and possibly last night when Ribbon turned into the drainage line, and Mulwati as well. I think they were smelling Dark Maine, and his tracks have come straight up from that drainage line where Ribbon turned in. So I think he's been relaxing in there, waiting for us to come and find him. It's a nice cool morning. It's probably about 18 or 19 degrees Celsius at the moment. We're not expected to get much hotter this morning. It is overcast, which I'm hoping means he's going to stay here in the open for a while. But I think altogether, going to be an absolutely wonderful day and a very lucky start for us to be seeing Dark Maine. We would love to hear from you this morning, so if you have got any questions or comments, please do let us know. Myself, Jonty and JP will be looking forward to hearing from you. You can find us at #WildEarth on Twitter. If you're under the age of 18, pop us an email on kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. Or you can register on the WildEarth website, head over to the channel page and submit your questions there. I know a lot of our viewers are excited to see Dark Maine this morning already. I know we are all very invested in Dark Maine. He is one of our main lion characters, and so it's lovely to catch up with him so early in the morning. And it looks like he's eaten, everybody. Look at that belly. Good morning, Dion. Located on Dark Maine Avoca on Quarantine Junction, Philemon's Tip, static, 5 out of 5.
Okay, so let me know in a couple of minutes. I'll ring you about 1 hour then.
My radio's a bit far. Isn't it lovely to see our big boy this morning relaxing nicely in the road? And he's literally moved up here in the last few minutes. He must have just laid down as we got here, because the tracks were very fresh, but the saliva was what got me. Dustin, I'm excited to hear that you are happy to find Dark Maine so early in the morning. Believe me, so am I. I just found it was so funny that myself and BK were literally talking about him, saying, we wonder where he's gone. He's probably somewhere in the drainage line. And then, of course, the saliva on the road just told me, hang on a second, something's not right here. You could actually see the droplets. He must have had a drink at the dam or at one of the little pan systems next door. And as he was walking, it would have still been dripping a bit from his mouth, or from his mane, perhaps. And you could almost see, as he was walking in the road on the tracks, it was between two of his tracks of the front paws. As he was walking and swinging his head, the water was dripping off and kind of off to the side at an angle. A bit of water spatter from his drink this morning. Now, to me, it's quite unusual for us to see dark mane on his own. We know he's normally with the Talamatis. Apparently, the Talamatis around Inyati at the moment, which is very far west. The ones that left, those 3 lionesses that went with the Impala male, they've been somewhere around Buffelshoek, Torchwood. And of course, hello, big boy. Of course, we've been seeing the Nkuhumas a lot on Djuma recently. So it's certainly been quite unusual to see the change in lion dynamics happening in front of our eyes. Dark mane lover, it's all in the name, isn't it? Yes, he is looking very good this morning. He's looking much better than I anticipated, and I'm happy to see he's had some food. Very exciting. Now, he would not have stolen this from the Talamatis or the Nkuhumas, I wouldn't think. I would think that possibly he found something for himself, either down in the drainage line or managed to steal something, possibly from Mulwati, and maybe that's why Mulwati was back, looking for vengeance or scraps. So it makes sense that he was feeding down in the drainage line, but none of us knew because it's so thick in there. But that would explain why Ribbon was there last night looking for some scraps as well. Yeah, he's looking at the sunrise. We're going to have to try and reposition to show you the sunrise. I think it would be gorgeous to see dark mane with that sunrise in the background. Not possible. We'll try and show you the sunrise just now. It's an absolutely gorgeous orange with pink. And of course we want to spend as much time as we can with dark mane this morning, see how he's going. When it starts getting sunny, I'm sure he's going to move as well. And then we might get to see how he's walking, how he's looking when he's up. But of course we want to have a look at his back as well. We want to see if he's got any new scars or wounds, anything like that we can update you on. But while we are here with him, there's a lovely dawn chorus. Let's see if we can listen for a little bit. He seems to be listening too. An absolutely gorgeous way to start our morning. The luck continues. It must be the lucky shirts. Okay, let's have a look at what our weather's doing for the morning, and I will reposition so we can see dark mane and the sunset. Sunrise. Maybe not in one shot though.
Good morning, everybody. Look at that sunrise. It is so epic. And it's so cool that Tess and BK have found dark mane. We were all starting to wonder where that beast was. And if you're wondering where myself and Gert are, we back down at Simbambili Dam to drive by Shadula and her cubs. Morning, my name's John T. You've got Gert on the camera, and like I just said, we back down by Simbambili Dam in the hope that we're going to find Shadulu somewhere here. But look at this sunrise. So the plan is to just work this immediate area around the dam and see if we can find any tracks of Shadulu leaving this area, just so we can get a clue as to which direction she's gone. I think she probably would have come. There were lots of Impala up on this open area when we left last night, so maybe she came out again to try and hunt. You're naturally right, and this is a particularly good one. I'm just going to let you take it in for a moment. Yeah, WildEarth lover, and it's just getting better. I need a wide-angled lens for my camera to get this. This is a good time of the day to just sit quietly and just listen and see if you get any clues from the bush.
Nothing beats sitting around a campfire at night whilst on safari, listening to the calls of the wild and chatting to your guide. If you sign up to be a WildEarth explorer, then you can enjoy this from the comfort of your home. Imagine hearing bush stories from your favorite WildEarth guide and reliving their highs and lows of a life spent in the wild. Every month, WildEarth explorers will be treated to an exclusive fireside chat, special occasions, hot topics, and deep dives into the WildEarth characters.
Everything else is just welling up inside of you, out in nature. You know, some people think I'm weird, but I have an absolute joy. I have a good time.
Now, I enjoyed myself thoroughly today.
WildEarth explorers, it's in your nature.
It has been a wonderful privilege to identify one of our key characters here at Penguin Beach, Pepper, with a very, very distinct facial patterning, as the name would suggest, very peppered and speckled belly. I'm really looking forward to seeing what this penguin does over the next few days and months. Because of those unique markings, it's going to be really, really cool to watch it as it moves around the penguin colony here at Stony Point.
It's a legless skink, but I'm trying to identify this snake that's come out. Oh, no ways. It's decided to leave. Go off the road, making way for it, and then we'll carry on.
Right, so Marips has found himself a puff adder that he's busy playing with, which is dangerous. I've seen leopards die from puff adder bites. I think he got hit on the paw. So he's obviously taken snakes on before. But at what cost, Marips?
Good morning and welcome to Eco Training Pridelands. We started our morning following up on the alarm calls of vivid monkeys, and we went to go and see if we could find any predators. So far, unfortunately, no joy in locating any of them. We quickly popped in over here to come see what's happening around on Impala Plains. So my name is JP LaRue, and behind the camera we've got Morgan. When we got here, we had a quick little pop of lights that came through with the sun, and unfortunately from there our sunrise actually disappeared very quickly. It's quite interesting to see that it's quite overcast today, as there was no overcast weather predicted. Hopefully we'll get a little bit of a rain a little bit later on to cool things down. I just love these cool overcast mornings, as they generally provide more activity compared to incredibly warm days. The animal species that we have over here on the open plains at the moment are both zebra as well as impala. We've also already seen that some of the rams are busy fighting to obtain territories and dominance. With the exception of a few that were fighting, the rest of them are pretty peaceful and focused on feeding. We're just going to spend a little bit more time over here and listen to the sounds of nature, and then move on and go and see what we can go and find. Good morning, Jessica, and it surely is, and I'm always glad that we can start also with the smaller elements and in the ecosystem as well, and also the important species which also contributes to sustaining that larger environment. We're going to move on and go and see what we can go and find. And meanwhile, let's go and see what Tessa is up to.
Okay, sorry, so it seems like you lost JP there, some gremlins in the system, but welcome aboard. We're just going slowly, checking these roads, these open areas just south of Simbambili Dam, and just going super slow, checking every termite mound, just taking it all in. I saw we just went past a herd of impala now. Gert and I were just saying how it's funny, we haven't heard what's that on that side there. Ah, there's lots of hyena tracks that are up and down here. You know, it's been a while since we've heard monkeys alarm calling. I want to hear monkeys alarming. Oh, but Rusty's covered this ground. I think Rusty can drive this area now without me turning the wheel. It's going to be in the next like Google Earth image. Just going to see Rusty in this open area. Morning, Sophia. There'll definitely be more than one, because there'll be multiple clans in the whole area of the Sabi Sands, and each clan will have a a number of dens inside their territory that they will use, and you'll see it's over the years they'll always have the like one that they almost seem to prefer, and they'll always end up going back to that one. But after a while they'll leave that one and go to another one, because you know there'll be a lot of build-up of parasites and things with this, with that continual use. I just saw a track. There's hyena, but I thought I saw one in between. Because we know these hyenas will follow leopards when they're walking around. But this looks like it is just hyena. So yeah, they'll definitely have, or there will definitely be multiple dens. There was one we used to come to during drive here off of this open area. I checked it yesterday when we drove past, and there didn't seem to be any activity there. Well, the sun's going to be quite harsh, but we're just coming out onto the edge of this open area again. Tatum, they might get introduced for the first time at sort of 3 months-ish or so, if they get brought food back to the den. But they actually rely a bit more heavily on the mom's milk. Hyena females produce very, very rich milk, and they suckle actually almost up to, can be up to 2 years. But around 3 months, they might get a little snack brought to them. It's pretty, the grass, the feather top grass, the fluorescence just glowing in the sunlight there. There is a little waterhole literally just in front of us here. I want to see. It looks pretty, yeah. So it was off of this road actually where she was found yesterday on Shadulu. We'll just enjoy this scene for a little bit longer, and then I think we'll carry on. I love that sound. A white-faced whistling duck just flew over.
Good morning and welcome to And Beyond Nyala. So finally, we've had a bit of luck this morning. Just a little bit of loving. And I think what we are hearing is the interaction between the herds when they meet.
Look how submissive that little one's being.
Welcome back to And Beyond Nyala.
Talk about a true definition of a golden sunset. That's what I think that is. WildEarth has grown to know and love many unique wild animal characters over the years that we've been broadcasting live. Recently, we've launched a new initiative to sell non-fungible tokens of these animals to help conserve them. 40% of every NFT sold by WildEarth will be paid to the custodian of the habitat that each animal lives or lived on. To begin with, we have chosen 25 animals, 11 leopards, including Tingana and Hukumuri, 9 lions, including favorites from the Nkuma and Talamati prides, and 5 hyenas from the Djuma clan, including Ribbon. If you sign up to be a WildEarth Explorer before the 15th of February, then you will be entered into a prize to win a box set, including 1 NFT on all 25 animals. Head over to our website to find out more. WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature.
My favorite animal is a leopard, purely because I just think they are just the epitome of feline grace and power, and the way they can move about in any environment and remain hidden until they want to be seen, I just find incredibly intoxicating, and they're amazingly beautiful.
Catch up with the guides daily here on WildEarth.
So, sorry, now it's Tess's turn to lose a bit of signal. We're still doing the same thing, just driving, checking for tracks, shooting the breeze. You know, it's a numbers game. We've got to get lucky at some stage. We've been coming here pretty relentlessly. Let's hope we get rewarded. And find Shadulu lying in the open on a termite mound. Or even in a marula, I'll take that. Sorry, Tula, you broke up. I didn't hear the full question. Matthew, so when the cubs start going out with the adults, it's almost like a learned behavior from watching and participating on the edges of the hunt. But instinctively they will know what to do. So there were tracks here yesterday of her. Let's go through the middle here. So like all of these predators, there'll be that instinct that they have, that they just know how to do, but they obviously hone it and polish it by watching the adults. That's bizarre. There's one single impala there. That is not a good... Oh no, I can see there's another one. But look how tall this grass is. Maybe there's more lying down there, but that one's actually calling. It's doing a little soft contact call. Maybe the lamb is lying there somewhere. They just disappear in the grass, eh? Funny, that is the contact call they make when they call their lambs. Greg, probably safety in numbers in a big herd. There's more eyes and ears looking out for predators, and they're also unbelievably athletic, incredibly quick. They can do crazy sort of leaps and turns to try and get themselves out of danger. I can just see two females here, but that one that's in the frame now is calling. That's the contact call they make when they call their lambs. I wonder if the lamb has been taken. They will call for a little bit when they lose a lamb. If that is the case, I'm just going to drive slowly along this road and see maybe we can get a track. I don't know if that's what's happened. Maybe she's just practicing her call. Or maybe in this grass, we just can't see the lamb. But normally you'd hear her make that soft call and then you hear the lamb answer. And almost like they're having a little conversation. While we carry on checking here, you're going to head over to JP.
Good morning and welcome back to Eco Training for Islands. I've been following the story of Jonty and the Impala, and they're indeed one of the most successful species of antelope out here. In some years there was records of even 200,000 of them throughout the Kruger National Park. As mentioned earlier this morning, they're also important in terms of supporting the ecosystem as a very important prey species. But for me, they're probably one of the most fascinating of all antelope species. But what not a lot of people know is that you actually have two different subspecies of impala throughout southern Africa. One is known as a black-face impala, which has got an almost entirely black face. And the last time I've seen those was actually in Namibia, and that was in Etosha National Park. The subspecies that we have over here is known as common Impala. And if you ever wondered what is a subspecies and the difference between a species can actually interbreed and they can produce fertile offspring. And we also see precisely the same for a subspecies. However, they become geographically isolated, and over a period of time they start developing their own unique characteristics and markings. I'm just going to quickly stop over here. I just want to see what our giraffe was looking at. See, he was actually staring at the distance, and now he's staring at us. Quite often when giraffe do stare at us, it actually means that there's no real threats on the ground. If they continue staring at something else, there's a very good chance that you might actually have a predator on the ground. A beautiful large giraffe bull that we have over here. A few characteristics which you can quickly look at is those little bold spots on top of the ossicones. That's the horn-like structures that they have. What I do find particularly interesting about the ossicones that it is not fused when they are young, and it actually only becomes fused after birth. And the reason why, it otherwise would get stuck inside the birth canal. We also can then see that he's got a much thicker neck and he's taller than females. And for you to see him turning at the right angles, you also notice that there is a penile sheath that breaks the outline of the belly. And then some of the other characteristics which we can normally look at is their overall darker color that males will display compared to females, which tends to be lighter. But once again, as with everything in nature, there's no hard, fast rules, and there's always exception to every rule that we do find out here. So it's always good to be very careful before you make a judgment and calling animal a male or a female, or when it comes to identifying very similar looking species. Our giraffe now stopped and is busy feeding, and if you notice, it's most likely feeding on one of the thorn trees, which was previously known as the acacia. We find that they reckon that many of these acacia plants out here has now been renamed into Vachelius and Senegalius, as believed to actually have evolved thorns into the response of being browsed upon by animals such as giraffe. We've also got a little oxpecker that's making his way up and down the legs there, all looking for little ticks. And it's not only oxpeckers that will feed off ticks from them. We often see when giraffe go and drink and they put their front legs into the first part of the water, but we'll also see that even terrapins will swim up to them and come and nibble off the ticks off their legs. Good morning, Darkmane lover, and welcome to the show. I love seeing giraffe, and I'm always happy to find them. And for me, they're one of those uniquely iconic African species, and the other being zebra. There was a question that came through a little bit earlier that I didn't hear very clearly. It was about the giving birth in giraffes. If I can just maybe ask that question can be repeated, and then I'll see if I can answer that for you. Good morning, Justine, and welcome to the show. And Justine's question is, how many calves can they give birth to? That's a single calf. As far as I know, there's never been a record of twins that were being born in giraffe, or at least no live births of twins in giraffes. If you also wondered what the gestation period for this animal is, it's roughly 457 days. And they're actually the record keepers of all ruminant species. And that's an animal with a 4-chambered stomach with the longest gestation period. And There's a few other things that I also hold, obviously, records for. They also have the tallest land mammal, and then for me, also interesting is that they're also one of the largest ruminants which we have out here, and that's the third record which they have claim to. While we watch our giraffe, let's go and see what John T is finding.
I hope you're enjoying that giraffe, JP. We, apart from these Impala, are in a mammal-free zone. But we haven't managed to find any tracks on any of these roads, so maybe Shadulu's gone out a different way. But so we're going to leave this area, the immediate area around the Simbambili Dam, and we'll just carry on and go check in a different area. But there's been a lot of hyena tracks around here last night. So. It's really difficult. So that's why we need to find tracks. Obviously, sometimes we get super lucky and you just spot the leopard crossing the road or walking down the road. But the truth is, if they're lying in the grass, if they're more than 2 meters in this grass and they're lying flat, it would be almost impossible to spot them. And that's what makes it tricky in summertime for game viewing. Even if a whole pride of lions walks in here and lies down, then the only way to see them is you've basically got to park on top of them. Some Impala. On the grass, get lucky and find them lying on something elevated, like up on a termite mound. I actually can't remember the exact size. Let's see here. I mean, I almost want to say for a big male leopard, from the back of the pad to the top of the toe, it might be around 10 centimeters, maybe. That would be quite exceptional. Let's see what this little book says. What do you reckon, Gert? Gert reckons 10. Come on, leopard. I'm trying to look and drive. So, yeah, 10. And a female 9. But some females, I'd say, obviously are smaller. This is it's a guideline. When I stop just now, I'll check in the bigger tracking book. But yeah, so 10 centimeters is good. And obviously that's the bottom, that's the pad that we're looking at. Obviously the top of that will be a bit bigger because that's got now all the muscles and tendons and fur covering it. And if you ever see, like, sometimes you see pictures of the moment that leopards take something down, you can see how when they spread them out, how big they are.
At WildEarth, our explorers are treated to a weekly newsletter, bursting with fascinating features and never-seen-before snippets. Recently, we have added some brand new sections which we think you will love. Find out what happens behind the scenes with our crew when they are not live on WildEarth. Have a giggle at our moments of the week from both Safari and Penguin Beach. And Ranger Steph answers your questions with fascinating and in-depth explanations as to the whys and hows of nature.
20 yards away from one of the most endangered species.
All of this and more delivered to your inbox every week. So what are you waiting for? Head over to our website, sign up to be an explorer, and join the adventure. WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature. Wildlife trafficking remains a growing problem in South Africa, and often made worse by the way the media portray this complex issue. WESA, the Wildlife and Environment Society of South Africa, in partnership with WWF South Africa and supported by US Aid, have recently embarked on a program whereby they train reporters to better tell stories of wildlife trafficking.
In my community, wildlife conservation is mostly something other people do, and I would like to change that. My name is Iman Singli. I told people I met that the pangolin is one of the most trafficked animals on the planet. But what is a pangolin, they said? Why is it in danger? This is what made me decide that the pangolin story must be told. If we are to play a part in preventing the extinction of this animal, then we must all be part of the battle.
A partnership between WWF South Africa and WESA, supported by US Aid.
There is clearly something in the vicinity around you that's drawn their attention. Just that meerkat in the tree is just the coolest of cool meerkats. But watch how he battles when he comes down. That would be like me climbing a tree, just better.
Welcome back to Pridelands. At the moment, we're still watching our giraffe busy feeding on one of the thorny trees. Now, quite often these thorny trees actually have very small leaves, and the reason why they've got incredibly small leaves is because they love growing in clay soils. And if you're growing in clay, nutrient-rich soil, you want to absorb nutrients very slowly. And we do therefore find that certain areas are actually more productive for giraffe. And one of those areas where there's a large amount of clay soils is to the eastern half of Kruger National Park. And there we find both basalt as well as rhyolite as underlying rock types. Compared to areas where there's granite that leads to the development of coarse-grained sandy soils, you'll often find far less giraffes, because there we generally find broadleaf plant communities, and broadleaf plants don't have thorns or spines to protect them, but what they do have is a large amount of chemicals which makes them unpalatable. And even in the case of these thorn trees which the giraffe is feeding on, they also can only browse so much of it before they have to move on, because generally the tannins inside the stomach, if it ends up inside the stomach, will upset the digestive process and prevent the binding of and digestion of breaking down of the cellulosis inside the stomach. That's also one of the reasons why giraffe often feed into the direction of the wind, as that these trees will also sometimes warn one another when they are being browsed upon, and in response to that they will too raise their tannin levels. So giraffe also has a number of other adaptations other than just dealing with incredibly toxic plants, and this is also to deal with a fawn. Some of those adaptations is a very unique saliva that just deflects a fawn off the tongue and prevents it from stabbing into the tongue. We also find that they've got a very thick leathery lip, and then beautiful long eyelashes that's there to protect the eyes when they're pushing their heads right into the branches of these trees. It seems that we've stopped and looking at something, and quite often we will find that giraffes will be looking around to see what's going on. For those first-time viewers, they've actually got phenomenally good eyesight, and they can see one another up to distances of some 3 kilometers, and so they claim that they can even spot lions in open areas at distances of some 3 kilometers. It's busy feeding again. One of the things that I do particularly find interesting about bulls is that they tend to feed as much as possible, and they feed generally on bulk. compared to the females, which is a little bit more selective about what they eat. And they tend to do that specifically because they would like to be in the best possible shape to go into estrus. If you're in poor condition, it's very unlikely that you'll be going into estrus. Good morning, Lala, and welcome to the show. And to answer Lala's question, do they often travel in groups? Yes, they do. But we see that there's absolutely no social organization with giraffes. There's no leadership in short. And we see that when they do form large groups, it's generally because of good quality feeding. And secondly, we also quite often will find a large number of bulls associating with a female when she is in estrus. And all of them will try eventually to see if they can be the one that has opportunity to mate with them. We also find that young giraffes has got some form of fascination with one another, and that also sometimes tends to lead that you start forming groups of females and the young, that starts forming little groups. But none of those are permanent. These animals can move off at any given moment. And quite often I have seen groups of up to 20 odd giraffe together, and you come past the same area half an hour later and everybody's moved off. I just love watching the giraffe, how it's using its tongue there as it's busy stripping off the leaves. We're going to stick around a little bit longer with our giraffe, but let's go and see what Jonty is up to.
Thanks, JP. We're making our way back towards Djuma. I think what we'll do is go from one side to the other. Let's head towards Chitwa Dam. I haven't been there for a few days. And let's go see what's happening there. The good thing about the route we're going to take from here to there is actually we're going to check along the boundary, so we can see it's always a good place to check for tracks, especially after it got graded yesterday. And I must say, we were talking about the other day, JP is very lucky to be looking at a giraffe. I even heard guys asking on the radio yesterday, has anyone seen a giraffe? I haven't seen one since I've been back. We must put that on the wish list, a giraffe. I'm going to be totally honest and say I'm not 100% sure. I don't really want to go into speculating, but obvious thing that bird flu. But yeah, that's not a realm I'm qualified to talk on. Under the oxpeckers, most of the time the animals are pretty chilled, but you can see sometimes they might stand on a sensitive spot and you'll see the animals shudder their muscle, like the coat, to chase them away, or shake their head, because sometimes they can be quite cheeky. They'll be picking right in the ear or in the nose, and then you'll see the animal will kind of chase them away with a shake of the head. That's why you won't see them on an elephant, because elephants will just swat them with their trunk. And someone asked the other day if you ever see oxpeckers on the predators. That's also a no-no, because they'll definitely try and catch the bird. DJ, was that rollers? Rollers will use holes in trees. Similar, I've seen crested barbets, starlings, oxpeckers, and rollers. You'll find holes in, especially a lot of these like bare knobthorn trees. They'll have perfect cavities for the rollers to go into. Okay. So now we're on Triple M. We'll do Triple M Gari Main all the way on to Chitwa. Not the process of laying the actual egg. They obviously help fertilize the egg, but then the laying of it, that's all the female's duty, and then the male will help bring food for the chicks. It's like a Mr. Delivery service for young rollers.
It is true that most NFTs are on the Ethereum blockchain, and vast amounts of computers are using massive amounts of energy to keep Ethereum running.
By minting our NFTs on Polygon, it allows us to use the least possible amount of energy while still creating real incentives for our custodians to conserve the environments and habitats of these animals.
Conservation really is conserving habitat. It needs to be saved in its context, and this context is the landscape it lived in.
How important are the surrounding communities to conserve in Djuma?
Crucial. Conservation doesn't happen in a vacuum. If surrounding communities do not see the value, how could you expect them to buy into the idea of conserving? To have NFTs generate ongoing income is just remarkable.
40% of the first sale and 8% of every resale is routed back to the habitat custodian.
Once 40% of that sale lands in the bank, it's very real.
It's the most amazing experience. It's epic to feel the wind in your face, see the animals in their natural environment. My favorite part about today is meeting the wonderful WildEarth team.
Afternoon, Pogs. Welcome.
Hi, Jonty. Lovely to meet you.
Please jump into Wendy.
Cool, thank you. To be able to actually travel on the roads, to feel firsthand what it's like, it was amazing. Our mud wallow today was something totally different and beyond my wildest dreams. The reason I got a ticket to Dream was courtesy of my mum, that being my special birthday, 60th birthday, and how much WildEarth has meant to me during quite a hard last year. It's just been the most amazing gift.
So there we go, look. All three in one frame. Look at that, isn't that cool? Oh, that is so special. That is exactly what we had been hoping for, is all three of them to come together and make the perfect little family portrait.
We just saw a big snake track crossing the road. Well, the snake's track wasn't crossing the road. We're just checking which way it went, but it doesn't look too fresh, so I wasn't gonna check around. It's funny, sometimes you see that track go across the road and then you go start looking in the grass. And then you start thinking, where is this thing? Because once a snake gets in the grass like this, the camouflage is so good. At Djuma, I've seen a vine snake. In the camp, I saw a Mozambique spitting cobra just going along the path, and I've seen a spotted bush snake also at the camp. And I saw, I'm trying to remember the name. Remember there was a blind snake having a fight with, I think it was a purple-glossed, I can't remember its full name now. Oh, I'm going to have to check back through the book. We saw, it was amazing, it was live. We saw them having like a fight on the road. I just saw a track back here. Was it a common? It was a purple gloss snake, I think. Oh, there. What is this here? Oh, it's a hyena track crossing the road. Maya, so I know it would be difficult, but the first thing you want to do is stay as calm as possible. If you've got other people with you, you want to also, it sounds weird, but if you've got someone who's experienced, you want them to catch the snake or at least identify it correctly, because a lot of times people will arrive at the hospital and say that they've been bitten by a venomous snake. And if you get given the anti-venom and you haven't been bitten by that snake, that's going to cause big problems. So you either want to get a photo or have the snake 100% ID'd correctly. And then stay as calm as possible, because obviously if you start running around, you're going to, your blood flow is going to increase, and you're actually just going to spread the venom through your body faster. So, like my mom said, go have a cup of tea and just calm down and get to the hospital. If you've got the snake, or if you've got an idea of the snake, let them know. Say, listen, this is a snake, it's bitten me. And they'll actually monitor you, because sometimes these snakes, they give a dry bite, because you can imagine their venom is for catching food. And so a snake that's biting us, it's not biting us for food, it's biting you because either you're too close to it and it feels threatened, or you're trying to catch it. And that's the only way they can tell you to let go. So quite often these venomous snakes, especially the bigger ones, they'll just bite, and that's them saying, please just leave me alone, and they won't inject venom. So it's that scenario. Now you get to the hospital and they're not going to straight away just hit you with anti-venom, because they're going to, if you don't start showing symptoms, then you're going to be fine. What some guys will do to help the doctors, so on the site of the bite, it will probably start swelling. So you'll obviously show the bite, and you'll see, like if it was here on your arm, you'll see the red swelling will start to increase. And so if you do sort of every 10 minutes or 20 minutes, if you just mark how fast the swelling is growing, that kind of gives them an indication on how fast the venom is actually working through your system. I must say, it's quite nice driving into the sun like this low angled sunlight, because it makes spotting tracks so much easier on the road. Okay, well, we carry on along the boundary here. You're going to head over back to JP.
Welcome back to Pridelands. We're still at Leopard Dam, and we decided that we're going to stop for a short while and see if there's any birds that are popping in. A few days ago, we were very fortunate, and we actually did manage to find a black stork over here. And that was my first black stork for Pridelands. It's also one of our migratory stork species. However, we also do find that they nest in South Africa, but this is not their habitat where they would be nesting. The times that I did find them nesting is very close by to cliff faces. I think that Morgan is focused on another type of bird there, and those are microlights at the moment that are buzzing all over our heads. And you might hear microlights as well as planes and helicopters coming over here quite often when we are doing segments. And the reason what they are doing and why we hear them so frequently is that they're actually running patrols, and they just do a number of other conservation-related tasks, such as game monitoring as well as anti-poaching work. Let's just see if there's not any problematic people that's making their way into these areas. They're actually very effective ways of actually spotting people moving about in the area. Well, we're coming back to our dam. It's been a little bit on the quiet side, as mentioned earlier. We do have some Egyptian geese, which is on the opposite side of a dam, both on the log that's on the water, and then also in the big tree. Looks like the male that's sitting up there, keeping guard over the rest of a female and the youngsters. And if you wondered how to separate male from female, it's actually very easy. Males are slightly larger in size, and they're also slightly thicker necked compared to the female that's smaller and slender necked and composition. We've been watching these little Egyptian geese now growing up, and they're growing up fairly quickly, although they still haven't got to the stage where they are strong enough to fly. They will still have to go several weeks before that they actually can start flying. Well, One of the things that I do find pretty fascinating about them when they do nest is that they will often nest in very high cliff faces or on the nest of red-billed buffalo weavers, and they simply just hop down to the ground when it does come to leaving the nest, and they never return to that, and they just simply float down because they're so light, although they can't fly at that point yet. Good morning, Dina, and welcome to the show. With your question, what is the largest nest in this area? That's most likely the red-billed buffalo weaver nest that we just have right over there. We do find that certain bird species, such as Vero's eagle, which is a cliff nesting species, which nests some several kilometers away, can also produce fairly large sized nest. And then the other one that we have that forms equally sized nest in this area is definitely the hammerkop. I'm just a little bit distracted at the moment. I just heard some vocalizations. It sounds like an elephant that might be approaching us. I just want to quickly put my focus on what's going on there, and I'll be back on answering questions in a moment. I just want to use the high ground in my favor over here, and then there's also a sufficient amount of cover for me between myself and the elephant. There's a big thick drainage line right over here, and he's most likely somewhere in this drainage line, and I hope that he's going to pop out very soon and come and have a drink at the dam. Okay, great stuff. They just came out. Go. One very happy elephant coming to have a drink. I just love the way that they accelerate towards the water. We quite often see that with young elephants more often when they do approach water, especially when it's a nice big breeding herd and you can see them coming from a distance. You'll start seeing that the momentum is fairly consistent, and then there's a sudden acceleration as they move towards the water body. Unlike most other animal species, which approaches waterholes at caution, because there's quite a few animals that can potentially ambush you over here, such as lion and leopard. He loves using dams like this during the winter months as an ambush point. There's a second elephant that's approaching from our right-hand side. Two very big bulls that's approaching, or sorry, one single large bull that's now approaching. And it seems that this guy is actually in must.
That's my boy.
It couldn't be a better morning. This is just too special.
Wow, what a way to start off.
Bright colors, and it attracts the insect to the flower, which is exactly what we're watching right now. This is so exciting.
There's two. Hello, Mama. It's all good. Hi. Hi.
The smallest baby black-backed jackal I have seen in the wild. Look how full the belly is.
It is so incredible to spend this time so close to an African penguin. They just make me feel alive.
That is incredibly sweet. Grooming each other.
Play is vital. This is how they learn. This is how they would tackle prey.
There you go, there you go. There you go, there you go. Heart is pumping right now.
Look at this, everybody. We've got a live kill.
There's nowhere to go.
It's just such an incredible privilege to be out here. It just keeps on delivering.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, live.
There she goes, going for the youngster. She got it.
That's what I'm talking about.
Look at that.
It is insanely good footage. We've just been checking. There have been some tracks of leopard going up and down this section of the road, but it looks like they actually crossed off heading west a little bit further behind us. So we're going to carry on. Just want to go check what's happening at Chitwa. Some of the other vehicles have found in Djuma Pride around Philemon's Dip, Monkey Orange area. The old name I think was Mendoza. So we'll let those guys have a look there at the lines. We'll listen out if they start moving or anything. But let's go check. We're going to carry on with our plan, go just to do a loop around Chitwa Dam, see what's happening there. And then later this morning we'll see if we can, we'll come back. Just get an update on what those lions are up to. Billy Wild Guy, they can help sometimes. So if you know, say for example, if you know if you drove a road earlier this morning and then you come back and you see tracks on top of yours, then obviously you know that is fresh tracks, they're worth following. But then also it can be the opposite. If someone's driven over tracks, obviously that makes it difficult. But they do, they help you because obviously the track has got a uniform tread and pattern that you can see when you're looking up the road. And then you'll see if a track goes across it, because it obviously breaks that pattern. So I think sometimes they definitely can help. So FC, we're going to be crossing into Chitwa in about 2 minutes for our loop around the dam. While we continue, you're going to head back to JP, who's still with some elephants.
Welcome back to Leopard Dam. We still have our elephants and they've just started moving off. And we noticed that the larger bull approached the smaller one and then started bullying him. He's not interested in him. And we did find earlier on that it seems that the larger bull is a must, and there's a few things that we could point out what led us to that conclusion. And the first one is that there was secretion coming from the side of the temporal glands. It's not just unfortunately moved out of sight. And some of the other features is that the hind legs were stained with urine. We also find quite often that these bulls that are in must will actually sometimes dribble up to 400 liters of urine in a day. We often see them tracks so that their feet will shuffle, and that we also find the dribbling of the urine on the track mark. It's a very good track to actually learn when it does come to walking, that you can know to best avoid these elephant bulls when they are in this condition, as their testosterone levels are often 6 times higher than normal, and especially with the younger ones, they can be incredibly unpredictable and dangerous at that point. A question that I do get asked quite often is how long this must keep, and it actually can last anywhere between 3 days and 3 months. And what we do find is that some of the younger bulls that are on must will actually automatically switch it off when they detect more dominant individuals that are in must in that area. One of the things that I also find particularly interesting is that the elephant bulls that are in must can actually kill much larger elephants than themselves, just due to that increase of strength that's created by the testosterone that is 6 times that of the normal levels. Good morning, Vaughan, and welcome to the show. And with Vaughan's question, why would an older elephant bully a younger one? They just simply do. And it's all about dominance. And if you can keep another animal that's smaller than you and into a less dominant condition by constantly harassing it or bullying it, it's less likely to actually go into a reproductive condition. And that would be my conclusion on why they would do that. And we see it with a number of different other species as well, that males will dominate males by constant bullying, and also in some species where females will dominate females to prevent that they can go in estrus by keeping their morale as well as their condition fairly low. Well, we're going to move on and go and see what else we can go and find, as our elephants has now moved off. Good morning, Megan. Yes, it is really calming, and luckily our elephant seems to be coming back, or another elephant actually might be coming back into picture there. I just love all the sounds. There's a number of Egyptian geese which wanted to come in over here. 4 of them that has just flown over, and unfortunately they set the number of territorial individuals off into making a loud noise and telling them that they must move off. Our elephant is now starting to slowly move through the thick vegetation there in the back. Let's see if it's going to come back for a drink. elephant is now coming into the open, and it looks as if he's going to come and pop in right over here in front of us. Good morning, Ben, and welcome to the show. I'm going to just do a little bit more of a silent segment and allow you guys to listen to all the beautiful calls in the background. There's a distant one, which is part of the African barred owlet that's calling, and then we've also got crested and barbet that's calling in the background. And we also have a blacksmith lapwing which just called in distress as the elephant chased him off. Well, in the meanwhile, let's go and see what Jonty is up to.
Where's this oak? Let's see what our elephant is getting up to. It seems as if something has caught his attention that was moving around there. And quite often when we do find something that might disturb an animal, they'll actually go closer and investigate what the potential threat might be. It might just be another elephant that is approaching him as well. Something that makes him hesitate there, and he stopped. Quite often you'll see that they actually put their foot on the ground like he did there for a few seconds. And the reason why they sometimes do that is actually to listen. And we find that there's a wide range of sounds which is not audible to them when it comes to their normal hearing, but they can pick that up through specialized sensory cells, which is known as the pacinian or pachylus, which is actually in the feet and some in the trunk. And this actually enables them to actually communicate and hear over far greater distances. I just also find it particularly interesting how specialized their feet is. And if you think of it, technically it's ears that are on their feet. We also know that there's large amounts of cartilage underneath the foot as well, which enables it to actually walk very quietly. And that's one of the things that still astounds me after 22 years of guiding, is how quiet an elephant can walk. The other thing that I find particularly interesting is how the feet can expand and contract when they're walking on mud to create a smaller or larger surface area and enable it to pull it more effectively out of the mud.
Good morning and welcome to And Beyond Nyala. So finally, we've had a bit of luck this morning.
Just a little bit of loving.
I think what we are hearing is the interaction between the herds when they meet.
Look how submissive that little one's being.
Welcome back to And Beyond Nyala.
Talk about a true definition of a golden sunset. That's what I think that is.
Stanley is such an awesome African penguin, and personally, my favorite. I love Stanley because of that amazing plumage variation, that beautiful broad black breastband with the cutest little white heart directly in the middle. And Stanley plays hard to get, but we are so happy to have him down here at Stony Point and can't wait to share Stanley's life with you.
Guys, just watch what's happening. See, watch the elephant, watch the lions. See, the first ones to run are the cubs. Can you see them? They are right here. I'm not sure how scared you were, but I was quite nervous. But absolutely incredible.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
It's a huge privilege to be in these incredible places with these amazing animals. I love filming lions. When they do get up and do something, it's always spectacular. When they are playing, are incredibly fun to watch, especially subalterns and cubs. I love being in the bush and working in these incredible places with these amazing animals. We want to bring it to you so that you can almost feel like you're right there and be able to experience it and enjoy it the way we are.
We just enjoyed a nice quiet moment watching these hippo. And I think I want to do a loop. I want to leave the dam shortly. Let me just turn around and go check some areas around towards the airstrip, those big open areas. Maybe we get lucky with that. That's the area we saw that big elephant bull the other day, the one who pushed over the marula tree. Go check the mulwanini. See if there's any cats in there. But we'll leave these hippos here. Goodbye, hippopotamus. They sort of move to the
ecosystem coming from elephants to a tiny little spittle bug that's right over here, which is known as a banded mulva. And they're the ones that often leave a cuckoo spit, that's a foam-like secretion on the grasses, and they're particularly often found in shaded areas. Something else that we also noticed right over here is a nest of a brown-hooded kingfisher. The previous year they actually did use this as a nesting site. I didn't notice them this year, but what I did see over here is that there's remains of a scorpion, and then it also looks like concentric rings that might be forming part of a millipede. And I have seen some of the brown-hooded kingfishers taking scorpions in the past, and a very same brown-hooded kingfisher that's using this nest, I've also seen a while ago actually taking a snake. I think it was a few months ago with me and Morgan that we actually did find them, and that snake was short of 30 centimeters. So when it comes to the different species of kingfishers, we get those that are focused on feeding on fish, and then we have the typical insect eaters. And the fish eaters are pied kingfisher as well as giant, while other species such as brown-hooded kingfisher will mostly focus on feeding on insects. When it does come to these little tunnel-shaped nests, we find that there's a number of different species that will actually produce nests in embankments like this, and there are a number of different kingfishers as well as bee-eaters that will use them. But we do know this, that the bee-eaters are actually social species, and in the case of white-fronted bee-eater, there will be a large amount of tunnels on the side of the embankment where kingfishers tend to actually always nest solitary. There's a few other little interesting things that I've also noticed right over here, and this is this little turret-like structure that we have over here, and this has been created by one of the species of spider-hunting wasps, and this specific species actually specializes in wolf spiders, and when they do find a wolf spider, they actually sting it, they paralyze it, and then they bite off the feet, and then they transport that back towards the nest. They'll then lay an egg inside the paralyzed spider, and in some species we find that the egg can actually determine the mass of a caterpillar or a spider, and then duplicate itself according to the mass of that, and then raise a specific number of young according to the weight of the host that they are laid inside. And then from there, that's where the wasp will then start developing inside again. We also see that there's also a number of wasp species out here which actually specializes in parasitizing other species of wasps and their nest, as well as their young larvae which is developing inside the nest structure. We actually refer to those as hyperparasitoids. And parasitism is not something that's an exception only to insects. We find it in the plant kingdom, the animal kingdom, and we also find it with even among a number of other animals where they will utilize one another. And with some of the cases we find which is something that is distracting us over here. We just want to put our focus on. There's an elephant that popped up right behind us, and that's why it's so important to always work with a backup, and that the backup is checking what you are doing on a walk, while the cameraman and myself got our heads down. It's just walked past us. He's not even 20 meters away from us. I just want to start. If you want to come up and look over here, it's actually standing right over here. I just want to. No, the elephant has now moved off. In the meanwhile, let's go and see what Tessa is up to. She's seems to be back and going. Just want to see where our elephant is heading. Yeah, it's all good. He's moving off away from us.
It is Tess that you're hearing at the moment. I'm not on Wendy, as I'm sure you can see. I am on dam cam for now while we try and work out how we're going to fix Wendy. My cell is amazing. I'm sure it's going to be up and running soon. But in the meantime, I thought I'd come and entertain you on dam cam. Quite a calm morning out here. I know Dark Main is just over the back there somewhere. There's a beautiful big Nyala bull that's been feeding along the open areas just next to quarantine here. And of course, my two favorite trees at the dam where I know there are some nests. The first thing that I want to have a look at is just this big Nyala and see what he is up to and a closer look. It looks as though he is just enjoying a bit of the golden light. It's quite interesting. On the dam cam you can actually see the colors changing as the clouds are coming over and blocking the sun, and at the moment it is absolutely gorgeous light. can see there is quite a bit of a breeze, and so I wouldn't be surprised if this Nyala is going to be here for most of the day, because there's a lot of lovely cover. Oh, there's the light change. Cloud blocking the sun a bit. Amazing how it changes in real time in front of us. And I'm wondering if this is the same Nyala that we sometimes have in camp. He is a very big bull, and he has a younger contemporary that follows him around. And he is a particularly gorgeous male Nyala. He's got a tear in his ear, you can see it there on the right hand side. So he's quite a distinctive looking male. I'd imagine that came from years of walking through the brush and maybe hitting a thorn or two, or a sharp branch. I just love the way he moves. You can see he is looking quite alert, and I'm sure that that's because he can smell dark mane. Dark mane came up from the dam last night. And of course, I got to see the ghost as well. I got to see Molwati last night. I'm still buzzing from that. Linda Foley, your favorite antelope, that makes me very happy to hear. It's definitely one of my favorites as well, I think. Just so unusual compared to all of the others. He really is gorgeous. Well, he looks quite dark in this light, but I'm hoping that as he turns while he's feeding, you'll see a little bit more of that golden light on his coat, because he looks quite dark grey. It's actually more of a very pretty browny charcoal in the light. He's got quite an impressive beard as well, so he's a pretty old bull, I'd say. Big boy. So he's enjoying his time in the open area this morning. This is the most he has moved in the time I've been sitting here. So he's giving me a nice challenge on dam camp. See how well I can follow him. And very possibly about to disappear into some thickets, everybody. See how he walks. Yes, I wouldn't be surprised if he's going in there. Nyalas are actually browsers. So as much as he looks like he's been eating grass all morning, he hasn't. He's been eating some of the leaves in the herb layer. I'm going to watch him disappear into the thicket there, and then I'll pan back towards my favorite trees and the dam. You can see a little bit of the tree that the camera is mounted on at the moment, so I can't follow him further than that. Absolutely beautiful seeing him as he's walking along in the light this morning. Okay, I'm going to pan back towards my favorite trees, catch up with my woodland kingfisher, and see what else is at the dam.
Do you dream of traveling to a far-flung wilderness location where life continues as normal? A place where you can escape to nature and breathe. If you become a WildEarth explorer, then this could soon become a reality. Subscribe today and stand a chance to win regular travel prizes. WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature.
I was so excited to come across DJ, or Demi James, Demi meaning half, and that refers to DJ's incomplete upper breastband. And what is so cool is that DJ has been building a nest, and we have also seen DJ hanging out with the partner. I cannot wait to see how the breeding season goes and bring you all the action from Penguin Beach.
Guys, have a look at what we've got. This is better than my birthday. Look at that. This is the first time that I ever see cubs this small. This is so special. This is officially just become my best sighting of all times.
Tune into WildEarth every single day. It's in your nature.
I've been a guide for just over 20 years. Started my career in the lowveld of South Africa, and it's become full circle, and I'm back here today, and I'm extremely grateful for that. My favorite animal is hands down elephants. I'm a family man, and the way the family is structured in elephants, it resonates with me, and therefore I've chosen elephants. My favorite activity out in the bush is to track big game. It gives you the opportunity to learn about their behavior in much more depth than just observing them. My favorite sighting at WildEarth was where the Talamati Pride was trying to hunt buffalo in this beautiful, misty, foggy morning. The whole setting was just so surreal, and it intensified, culminating in a near successful hunt. One of the main reasons I became a guide in the first place is to share this wonder with people, and now I get to do it with a much wider audience.
That's pretty cool. Often you just see sort of pairs together, but there's actually 7 double-banded sandgrass in this section of the airstrip. The others are a bit further away in the shade there. It's a bit hard to see. Also some Senegal lapwings feeding along the edge of the airstrip. They've all sort of moved away from us. There's one there. But I think what we're going to do from here, we'll go check the Mulwanini. Just I have to drive in there every time I come onto Chitwa. It's so beautiful. And then we'll get an update on what those Nkahuma lions are up to. We'll see if we can go get in there and have a look at them. Sorry, Kulu, I missed the beginning part of that. I suppose they do, in a way. As they get older, they'll start participating more in hunts, whereas there's a certain age where they won't participate. They'll kind of trail behind, and then when the hunt takes place, they'll just wait. And then when they pass a certain age, probably like a year and a half, they might start trying more and more and actually being active participants in the hunt. But up until then, their main job is to just be cute little lion cubs for us to look at. Gabriella, often with lions, they'll invariably, if they're not well, they won't be eating. So they will have lost condition. They'll be quite thin. Their coat gets like a drab look. I don't know if you've got dogs at home or cats, but you know, when your dog is healthy, its coat is shiny and it looks healthy and well. And when they get sick, it almost looks a bit dull. Doesn't look so in peak condition. And that's the main sort of way, I suppose, the outward signs you would see. Not eating would be a big one for any animal. If they stop eating, then there's normally, what is that there? A hyena. Yes, we've seen, I think, every hyena track that's possible to see this morning we've seen. Yeah, if animals stop eating, then you know there's an issue. So I suppose if you had to see a pride of lions make a kill and there was a thin, unhealthy looking lion that didn't go and eat, you would know that there's a problem. But you're going to head over to JP and see what he's up to while we carry on towards the Mulwanini drainage.
Welcome back to Eco Training Pridelands. A little bit earlier this morning on the show we had a giraffe which was busy feeding on one of the thorn trees. We also discussed how the thorn trees actually have very small leaves, and the reason why is to slowly absorb nutrients and minerals when they is sucking up the nutrients from the soil. And it's because they're often also in clay soils compared to plant species which are large leaf that rapidly needs to suck up nutrients and minerals from the soil. As those that are on coarse grained sandy soils tend to lose nutrients and minerals very quickly, as those soils are leached fairly quickly with higher rainfall or two. Now, we also were discussing how giraffe has got a number of adaptations, and this is what we decided to show you, what they have to actually deal with. And here we can see these incredibly large straight fawns on this flaky fawn that we are looking at. And what we also they're incredibly small. Tend to be incredibly large as well, and progressively as the tree matures, they'll actually spend less energy in producing fawns in the higher branches as well as in the inner parts of a tree. And if you actually have a look at a fawn, it's actually a modified little leaflet, and they'll rather invest their energy in producing another leaf which has the ability to photosynthesize rather than producing a fawn which is only there as a defensive mechanism. And photosynthesis is what provides you with food. And we also find in return that's what actually provides us with oxygen and keeps our whole planet on the go. We also notice that there's quite a few of the little edges over here which has been stripped, and this is where giraffe has actually used that prehensile tongue and actually pulling off the leaves from the tree. Good morning, Anna Marie, and welcome to the show. Yes, it is absolutely amazing, and the adaptations that they have to deal with is a tongue that actually has a very unique saliva and simply just deflects the fawns off there. And as we mentioned earlier on today as well, they've got an incredibly thick, leathery lip which protects the fawn from fawns stabbing into the mouths. And then lastly, they've also got those long eyelashes. That's what they put their heads right into the branches, and that protects the eyes against damage from fawns. We're going to move on and go and see what we can go and find. In the meanwhile, let's go to John T and his elephants.
So how lucky as we came down into the Mulwanini, had spotted these elephants on the opposite side. So some Impala and kudu along the drainage line. Now the way they're feeding, there was one, it looked like a very little calf, so we'll just sit here, we're in a good spot. I'm sure they're going to move. So the one I'm saying is smaller than that calf that's got in frame there. Look at the attitude of that little one. Samantha, there's wherever they want and wherever they are when they're tired. I mean, it sounds like a silly answer, but they're moving around feeding constantly. So if one wants to have a nap, it'll just literally, while it's standing, they just sort of nod off. The younger ones, they'll lie down and sleep. They probably sleep for 20 minutes or half an hour at a time. And when the youngsters lie down to sleep, the rest of the herd will stand around them. And then, yeah, like if it's hot, obviously they'll go into the shade of a tree, and you often find them sort of all clustered in the shade of marulas at this time of the year. Like that exact scene. Some of the big bulls will often lie down on big termite mounds, or on banks in drainage lines or riverbeds, or even on the soft sand. Look at that little one. There's two more up alongside us here.
When on safari, there's nothing better than an evening spent under the stars chatting around a fire, with the sounds of the wild all around you. If you sign up to be a WildEarth explorer, you can build your own memories by joining our guides for regular fireside chats. Subscription payments can be made by PayPal, credit card, and now bank transfer. WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature.
Identifying individual African penguins can be extremely challenging because at first glance, they all look the same. Identifying Duo, an African penguin with a double breastband, was extremely exciting for me. Less than 5% of the African penguin population has this unique variation in plumage, and I can't wait to share Duo's life with everyone on WildEarth.
This warthog is in big trouble. He's got elephants all around. What are you gonna do there, big guy? What are you gonna do? Oh, he's pretty brave though. Oh man, he's not even moving. Look, that elephant is trying his best, but that warthog ain't budging. That's madness. That's so funny. And we have a winner. The warthog wins the standoff.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
Funniest question I've been asked. There have been so many. You can almost do a little anecdote book just on guest questions. Sort of been asked, do you know which trees do elephants roost in? That's a tough question to answer with a straight face. Someone asked me if a windsock was for feeding giraffes.
My name is David, and I love being a cam op because you get a front row seat to all the best sightings that WildEarth has to offer. Sharing it with everyone else, well, that's a perk too. What makes the WildEarth experience magical? Well, it has to be the fact that it's live and interactive. The sighting that'll be ingrained in my brain for life, watching a lioness kill 3 wildebeest during the migration in the space of about 20 minutes. My spirit animal, that has to be a monkey.
So how lucky is this? We didn't have to move. We're still in our nice shady spot. But this whole group of elephants has moved up alongside us. Just inhaling marulas. Look at, I don't know which one you've got. Oh yeah, cat dominating. Look at that young one, busy suckling there. So that's a young elephant. The general rule is if it can still fit under the mom's stomach, then it's under a year. But that one, I just want to try look with binoculars. You just see its little pink mouth there. So man, the mom just keeps moving. Amy, the elephants are, their life sort of stages are very similar to humans in a way. Like as they go up through the stages, so teenagers seem to behave like human teenagers. And then similarly, an elephant that's in its 20s would be like a young adult. And then 30s, sort of, 30 to 40, maybe a bit more, that's kind of when they're in their prime. But saying that, I suppose in the natural world, things would be considered adult from the time that they can successfully start breeding. And with elephants, that's also quite young. Males typically will only be in their 30s when they start breeding, but females can fall pregnant very, very young. I think the youngest one I've seen that had a calf was about 14 years old, which is quite young because they don't really know what they're doing at that age. On the side of the mom, you could see she obviously lay down on top of an elephant poo. She's got like a poo ring on her leg there. Oh, Virginia, it is great. I love spending time with elephants, and it's often a great time to just watch quietly and just watch them go about their day. Luke, from what I've seen, typically the female will go a little bit away from the herd to give birth. But then as soon as that calf is out, the herd rushes up and they all touch it and smell it and greet it and greet the mom again. It's like you can see it obviously is quite a big thing in the herd. One of my most incredible experiences that I've had in the bush was around the whole birth process of a calf by a young mother, and then the whole interaction between the rest of the herd. I think I have told this story before. Flo, do you know what? You've actually caught me. I can't remember. I'm just trying to remember when we used to feed rhinos, they were drinking like 5 liters at a time. And that was probably 5 times a day. So I'd have to check with elephants, but if that's a gauge to go by, could potentially be it could potentially be around 30 or 40 liters, but I'll try double check and get back to you. That elephant is just making itself a bit lighter there to go up the hill. Okay, let me just reposition. It's also tricky when you're thinking about milk, because I know often in when you're doing rehab, you're using formula milk, which you probably have to give more milk than the mother would give them. The mother's milk is often normally much richer than formula milk. While we reposition with these elephants, you're going to head over to Dam Cam with Tess.
Hello everybody. I have not moved. I'm still here with the dam cam, and I must apologize for the audio on my side. I know my mic pack sounds a bit strange. It's because I'm sitting behind the screen and there are quite a few machines around me in the office, and that's what you can hear in the background. Now what I noticed is I was actually looking at the fallen log in the background. That's where Mama Squirrel had her nest, and I saw some movement, and I'm not sure if you can see it. And we're going to be zooming in quite far here, so it's not going to be the best picture possibly. But there is a green-backed heron that seems to be having a nice little grooming session. It's preening itself on the bottom of this fallen tree, the exact same one that Mama Squirrel has her nest on, or in, I should say. Above it you can see a foam nest, frog's nest, you can see insects flying through the frame, you can see spider webs glinting in the light. A lot of different things happening here. But I'm a massive fan of a greenbacked heron. To me, one of the most beautiful of the heron species, and the smallest that we would get here too. I'm sure it's still a little bit cool for this heron to be out wading through the edge of the dam looking for food. But I don't think it will be too long before the heron goes back down. As it's pushing its head down like that, you can really see a bit of that crest on the top of the head. It almost looks like an extended helmet off the back. But having a very in-depth preening session this morning. To see a predator so early in the morning, starting with dark mane and moving on from one predator to the next. And this really is a formidable predator on the water's edge. Such a quick strike rate, such a good success rate. Herons are very well adapted. But I want to have a look at the overall picture of the dam. A bit dark at the moment, but it will lighten in a second. There we go. You can see a male Impala on the other side feeding. Nice and calm here at the dam this morning. Oh, 2 Impalas, hello. And it's good for me to just keep scanning every now and then, see where the movement lies. It's not quite the same as being out in the field, because I'm looking at quite a limited area, obviously. So when I'm focused in on the heron or on impalas, I'm not seeing what else is happening around the dam. Now I know the waterbuck and the other impalas were over here. There we go, there's the waterbuck lying down. Maybe the females and the calves with the other impalas have come down onto that little dip behind the pan system. But it is important for me to keep scanning in case I miss anything. These waterbuck actually came from the dam wall. That's the side that they originated from, and now they're chewing the cud. You can see lying down 2 females, possibly part of the same territorial herd, with that very big bull that we sometimes see at the dam. Not altogether uncommon for waterbuck to split during the day and find each other again when they need to. You might find the others are somewhere in the drainage line or just hiding a little bit more. Lovely breeze picking up, and I'm sure as the day goes on, more and more animals will be coming down. Let's wait and see what happens.
Good morning and welcome to and beyond Nyala. So finally, we've had a bit of luck this morning.
Just a little bit of loving.
And I think what we are hearing is the interaction between the herds when they meet.
Look how submissive that little one's being.
Welcome back to And Beyond Ngala.
Talk about a true definition of a golden sunset. That's what I think that is.
It feels amazing. So nice to see the people and interacting with everything, how it works with the cameras and switching with the vehicles. I like it very much. It's very cool. I decided to take a ticket to Dream. I'm a founder member, so the first time WildEarth needs some help, I did it too. And I think it's a nice thing to help them, that they can broadcast every day here. My favorite part about today is to see Ribbon. I was surprised she was there. A pied kingfisher, I was looking for them the whole time. And the drive to the Milwaukee, it was awesome. My favorite part of WildEarth is the connecting people with the wildlife. I look every day, most 2 times, and you really get part of a family here. That's like very much.
This is incredible. Looks like vivid monkeys do sometimes go for swims. I heard something splash, but we couldn't see what it was in the long grass. Now I just saw that thing swimming there. This is incredible. I hope it gets to the bank. There are crocodiles in this dam. And it looks like, see that monkey climb up into the tree? Wow.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
Welcome back to Eco Training Pridelands. We quickly popped into the Pridelands camp to go and see if we could locate on our owls. And we managed to actually find one of the African barred owlets. Not 100% sure where the other 2 are, but they're growing up so quickly now. And generally when we do find them, they're busy constantly feeding. This one, however, has been sitting here motionless for almost 10 minutes, hiding in the branches of a tambuti tree. Actually quite tricky to actually spot him. So if you actually wondered why they're called barred owlets, that's because of a barred pattern on the back as well as the tail and the head. And those are all little characteristics which separates them from pole-spotted owlet, which has actually got spots on top of the head and not bars. And if you also look at the bottom of the chest, you'll notice fairly large blotch-like markings, which we find that we don't have with pole-spotted owlet, which actually has streaking. And these 2 owls, for some reason, are always confused with one another. One of the things that I do love about the pole-spotted owlet, however, is it's got 2 false eyelids on the eyes on the back of the head, which it uses to intimidate potential threats that might want to attack it from behind. So both of these species of owls are often active in daytime, and both of them has also been recorded to actually take birds. But it seems as if it's more commonly to be a behavior with a pole-spotted owlet, and they are often chased by potential prey species such as fork-tailed drongo and a host of other birds. And they'll generally also will create quite a commotion if they do find them. And it's probably one of the best ways of actually finding a large number of birds is by finding an owlet and seeing a bird party or mobbing party forming around that owlet. I don't think we'll be very fortunate enough in seeing these 3 little owlets for much longer, as they're very close to the point where they'll actually start dispersing. Good morning, Naledi, and welcome to the show. Owls are strictly actually carnivores, so they do eat meat. And in their case, they take anything from birds, insects, as well as small little reptiles. A larger species will often go for even bigger prey items. For example, Vero's eagle owl, which we have in camp occasionally as well, is even known to go for guinea fowls. Good morning, Celia, and welcome to the show. And Celia is asking us if pool-spotted owlets are the smallest owl in South Africa. So the barred owlet that we have over here is the third smallest owl, followed then by pool-spotted owlet, which is the second smallest owl, and then the smallest of all our owl species in Southern Africa is known as the African scops owl. And we actually have all three of them in camp. Well, we're busy watching our owls. Let's go and see what Jonty is up to. It seems as if he's got a surprise or two in.
JP, we were so lucky. We were actually about to leave. We saw the elephants coming over and we saw another vehicle here, and we just thought, oh, we'll leave them. And then the vehicle just let us know that he had a treat in the tree for us. How epic is that? And what I was really hoping for, the elephants have gone to a different tree behind us now, but can you imagine they come underneath this marula tree? That'll be too good. Such a classic scene for this area, leopard up in a marula tree. Well, it's so cool, Catty Cat. Luckily, the other vehicle was here to spot the leopard. But you realize because we've been driving around looking in trees, Gert and I, from far, this was tough to spot. Thanks, James. We were waiting for your confirmation that this was Langa. It's pretty cool. As far as I'm aware, I have not seen this leopard before. It's so cool to see that, because there are two other vehicles here now, just to see how happy the guests are, just grinning from ear to ear with the sighting. Yeah, Waikisha is surprised that we will happily take. You can see that the leopard is the direction it's looking is towards the elephants, but also down close to the water's edge there was an impala. Need to get rid of that branch behind the leopard's head. I don't know if there are some in the immediate vicinity right now, but there will be a number of them. But I don't, like I say, this is the first time I've seen him, but he looks like he's a bit young to be. Well, there we go. I was going to say this leopard looks too young, but Lunga is a female. So one of the elephants they're slowly coming closer. I really want them to come under this tree. It'll be super good. The only problem is that two vehicles are parked. They're sort of under the tree, so that might stop the elephants going there. It's amazing. It's always legendary. I know we always say it's not all about the big five, but it is radical. And to have two of them in one scene, there's the leopard, and there go the elephants. The elephants have got no idea that the leopard was there. We might get lucky and see these elephants drink at the edge of the water there.
Peaceful surroundings, the nature. It's not something I can get in my homeland, so it's wonderful to be able to be live, you know, with you guys and feel like you're actually there.
If you want to go on safari with a WildEarth guide whilst honing your bush knowledge and of course featuring in one of our shows, then head over to our website.
With wild dogs, wonderful, absolutely wonderful. We don't always get to see those, so that's just been amazing.
Sign up to be a WildEarth explorer and you could be making your first ever on-screen appearance.
I wanted to be part of the support of WildEarth. It brings so much to everybody, and everything has brought so much to me, especially, you know, got me through some difficult times myself. I found WildEarth shortly before I was going to go through some things in my own personal life, and it's what got me through, and I know that's a story for many, many, many people, so it's important to me to provide support to that.
Our bodies are made up of about 60% water, which means that in a very short space of time, you can dehydrate completely. A relatively efficient way of collecting water early in the morning is to take an absorbent material like a sock and to walk through the grass, absorbing the condensed dewdrops on the grass. Once the material is saturated, you can then squeeze it out into a container, or you can suck it out directly into your mouth.
Hi, I'm Mike Anderson, and I come to you live every day from Eco Training Pridelands Conservancy in South Africa. The wild animal I think is most underrated, I think buffaloes are the most underrated. There's a just so tenacious and ferocious, and also very, very protective of each other, which I find incredible. You know, sometimes people think of the big five, they just think of lions and leopards and other big animals, but I think buffaloes are pretty underrated.
Catch up with the guides daily here on WildEarth.
Welcome back to Eco Training Pridelands. At the moment we are looking at a hole that's been excavated in a weeping boerbean. And this hole was specifically excavated where there was a weakness in the branch and the tree where a branch previously broke off. And this was done by a golden-tailed woodpecker. I actually noticed him here a few weeks ago when he was busy excavating the hole. And when it comes to woodpeckers, they actually have a number of adaptations that enables them to create holes like these. And firstly, they've got a nice little stiff tail as well as two toes pointing forward and backward. It enables them to support themselves onto vertical surfaces. They will then continuously hammer away with their heads using their very sharp tip of their bill to create this hole over several days. And one of the things that we do find is that they actually have a very special type of cerebral fluid that surrounds the brain that assists with absorbing the impact. They also wrap their tongues around their brain, and then there's a hinge at the base of the bill which enables them to also assist with absorbing the shock. It's not the only reason what they use their bills for. They also use those bills for extracting insects and little grubs by excavating tiny little holes, and then use very unique tongue structures to actually pull all those out from the hole. And in some species, they've got sticky tips to the tongue, while other species also have harpoon-like tips to their tongue to extract the grub or insect from underneath the bark. We lastly also find that they will use their bill to tap away at the hollow sections of branches to actually create a sound. And quite often we hear some of the larger species out here, such as bearded woodpecker, tapping away. And that is a form of avian Morse code, which is unique to each and every species. And this behavior of the drumming is not only restricted to the bearded woodpecker, but also to a host of other woodpecker species worldwide. Good morning, Nyala, and welcome to the show. And Nyala's question is, do woodpeckers eat the bark, or do they just simply spit it out? They actually don't put the bark inside their mouth, but sometimes they do pick up bark. And some species I've actually noticed how they take the chips and they actually will throw it away somewhere else, but it's not directly underneath the nest to attract any unwanted attention of predators that might associate the chippings with a nest that is active. We also see a very similar behavior with some bird species. They'll actually go and drop the droppings away from the nest to prevent that predators are attracted to the nest. And in some cases, we also have some bird species out here, such as the green wood hippos and scimitar bulls, which actually defecate on their little ones to make them stink, as though they've got a special bacteria that lives in the preen gland, and that makes them, and they smear that on them too to make them unpalatable. So just a few interesting strategies how you can divert predators away from your young. Well, we're going to move on and go and see what else we can go and find for the morning, but let's go and see what John T and his leopard is up to.
The leopard is not looking at us currently, but what's hopefully going to happen is we're going to have some elephants walking past in the background. Hannah, that's a very good question. They'll normally start trying hunting things by themselves sort of around 10, 11 months old. Around a year they might be catching smaller things. And from a year onwards they start getting more and more proficient because they get left obviously by themselves. And they'll start stalking birds, lizards, mongoose, mice, rats, literally anything. Oh, look at that with their head. It's so cool to see a leopard with elephants walking past in the background. Zane is not common at all, but it has been recorded male leopards taking. So it obviously have to be a very young elephant calf, but it has been seen. Like I said, that certainly wouldn't be common at all. And certainly probably wouldn't be putting that up into a tree. The hippo finally caught my handkerchief dance and laughed. There you go, they all caught on. It just took them an hour and a half. So it's always that tough decision. Do you move to see her head on the other side? Or do you wait for her to look back? Look at her ear, she's gonna look back. Hazinia, I hope you are well. No, not always. In certain parts of the country, they actually almost always eat it on the ground. It kind of just depends how much threat there is, especially from hyena. And in this area, that's a big concern for leopards. So here, they waste their carcasses a lot more than other areas. If you think of the effort required to hoist a carcass up a tree, it's a lot of effort. So if they don't have to, then they won't. It's interesting. We used to see it at Singita, and I wonder if Tandi's going to start doing it. But when the females start getting older and they have cubs, they'll go, it's almost worth their while. Even once the cubs have kind of gone independent, they'll go and call them and take them to a carcass that they've stashed, and then let the younger, fitter cub hoist it. Even though the cub will probably eat most of it, it at least means it's safe, and that then the older female gets to have a safe meal as well without having the effort of hoisting it up a tree. But I tell you, it is an incredible skill. When I was much younger, we found an Impala that had died, and it was at a reserve where we didn't really have good leopard viewing, but we knew they were there. We'd see tracks and all kinds of things, and I'd read all the books about all of the lodges in the early years putting Impalas up trees to get leopards to come onto them and then slowly habituate them like that. So I thought, oh, this is epic, I'm going to do this. And I climbed a tree with a male Impala, and oh my goodness, was it difficult. And I've got hands to hold on to things, and sheepers, it was a struggle. And then getting it up the tree is one thing. Obviously the Impala's dead, so it's sort of flopping all over the place, and it's not holding its own weight. And it took me a while to actually position it in the tree without it wanting to fall out the whole time. So it's quite a skill that they learn, these leopards. And you can see them being bad at it. I've seen female leopards staring at their cubs when they knock a carcass out of a tree. You can see the mother, that's pure fury when they look at the cub, and they're like, what is your actual problem? Especially if there's hyenas at the base of the tree, because then, all that hard work's gone.
Look at that, it's amazing. Wow. Hey.
And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, live.
Oh, that's cool. Just in there.
And the black mamba's going up the tree, and the mongoose is attacking it.
Gonna pounce again.
Sure, you can all agree with me. It's not a bad start to our Wednesday morning.
Something that I have never seen before in my entire life that you are now watching live.
Look at that. It's just beautiful.
Fantastic display by a little herd of springbuck.
How is this view?
My heart is in my mouth, everybody.
Amazing, they've locked their tusks together. You can hear the cracking branches.
It is so incredible to spend this time so close to an African penguin, and it's completely unfazed by my presence whatsoever.
How insane is that animal?
Amazing.
Awesome. It is fantastic to watch.
Well, now we've got a tug of war between mom and daughter, look.
So
just at a loss for words. That's just incredible to see that. So we just repositioned slightly, but the leopard's still pointing its head away from us. So let's just be patient and see what we get. Come on, little leopard. And that single Impala is still just standing out there. I don't know if it knows. But this leopard is here, it's relaxing. I can hear another vehicle. I wonder if they're going to come join us. I think that they may well do. Kitty cat, definitely not. I don't think they had the slightest clue. I've seen that before, where they go feed right under a tree with a leopard in it, and they're none the wiser. So there's a vehicle coming in. He's approaching as if this whole marula tree and leopard is about to evaporate into thin air. He's coming in a bit warm. Well, that's cool. They're excited to see the leopard. It is amazing. The only problem is where we've moved from. We're now in the direct sun. I can feel myself turning into a roynak. I always wonder if, because the way she's lying, her right leg, there she just took, whoa. That's interesting, eh? She didn't enjoy that. I was just saying, I wonder, because she was lying right, like with her right back leg jammed up. Okay, that's super cool. So she spotted something in the ground. She's right by the other vehicle, but maybe like a small rodent or something. Look at her tail giving away her mood. Just keep watching, she might pounce. See how slowly she's moving? Oh. She just killed it. just made a kill. No way. Is it a scrub hare? That is ridiculous. I can't quite see. I'm not going to move yet because she might move with it. But that's crazy because it's literally right next to that. Oh. No, kill it, man. I don't know if you can hear that, but shame, it does sound like it's a scrub hare that she's caught. I'm not entirely sure why she's not killing it and eating it. Oh, no ways. That is crazy. There, she's got it now. We might get lucky and see her actually go back up into the tree. You never know with these small carcasses like this, she might just eat it on the ground. That's funny, that scrub hare nearly got away. Yeah, Lisa, that is nuts. Shows you how sharp she was. I mean, she looked like she was half asleep. And then spotted that scrubber. That scrubber's obviously been here the whole time and it just moved at the wrong moment. I'm just going to reposition. So she might actually just eat it on the ground there. It's such a small kill, and if something... The only thing that she didn't do that was a bit silly there was not killing it straight away, because those distress calls, if there is another leopard in the area or if there's a hyena nearby, it will definitely come running in to try and... I'm just going to slow down a little bit. So we always want just one vehicle moving at a time. That's amazing that that other vehicle just rocked up, saw a kill, and now they're leaving. Must be breakfast time.
Good morning and welcome to and beyond Nyala. So finally, we've had a bit of luck this morning.
Just a little bit of loving.
And I think what we are hearing is the interaction between the herds when they meet.
Look how submissive that little one's being.
Welcome back to And Beyond Nyala.
Talk about a true definition of a golden sunset. That's what I think that is.
Cape Nature is the chief custodian of the Western Cape of South Africa's natural environment. This highly successful organization strives to conserve the province's natural heritage to ensure a sustainable future. Besides nurturing nature, Cape Nature offers an authentic ecotourism experience to local and international visitors. And one of these experiences is walking amongst the penguins at Stony Point, or as we know it, Penguin Beach. WildEarth broadcasts live from here every day and is very privileged to be partnered with Cape Nature, who have focused their conservation efforts here. If you want to visit these iconic black and white African penguins for yourself, then head over to our website to find out more. Cape Nature. Conserve, explore, experience.
Oh, what are you doing? You're trying out for the ballet. Now it's an itchy bottom. Up we get. Mom's coming. Everybody's moving off.
So can you believe it? The scrub hare is still alive. This young leopard's actually just playing with it, just let it go. And it looks mortally wounded. So what, she's probably going to chase it again. So this, I mean, sometimes it's tough to watch these things, but this is her learning. It's great for her, not so superb for the scrub hare. You can see how the movement triggers her. Hey? Each time the scrub hare wants to sort of run away, now that look of intent is towards an impala. Yeah. Cat lover, that's true. You just want her to kill it and eat it. But I saw when it hopped away, it's got a massive gash down the side of its body. What, she's going to leap? When she looks back like that through the grass, that is epic. That is insane. I was actually asking Gert about the amount of times that they've actually caught a kill live on air. And he was reminding me about the warthog with the lions. But then we got to see one now. Well, it's not, I suppose it can't be counted as a kill yet because the scrub hare is still fighting for its life there. It's amazing, it's like this. I mean, she's just playing with it, scratching herself, looking around. Each time the scrub hare moves, she sort of darts off after it. But what a super, super way to finish the drive. Thank you very much for joining us, and I hope you all join us this afternoon and we can do it all over again.